Mr. Andreas Arndt is a German philosopher and a professor of philosophy at the Faculty of Theology of Humboldt University of Berlin. Since 1992, he has been also a chairman of the International Hegel Society. Professor Arndt is regarded as an expert of Hegel, Schleiermacher and Marx studies. He is an author of numerous articles and books, among which are Karl Marx, Essay on Coherence of His Theory, The Classical German Philosophy After Kant, Systems of Pure Reason and Its Critique, 1785 till 1845, and History and Consciousness of Freedom, Dialectic of Freedom in Hegel and Marx. Mr. Andreas Arndt is the second professor who visited Georgia to participate in the Presidential Collegium of State Arrangement. We would like to remind our listeners that Presidential Collegium of State Arrangement is a project implemented by Georgian Institute of Public Affairs and funded by the Reserve Fund of President of Georgia. The project aims to organize multi-participatory public and academic discussions on topics such as legal state and democracy, religious pluralism and the role of religion in state formation, importance of public space in construction of a constitutional state. During his visit in Georgia, Tbilisi, Professor Arndt gave public lectures on civilizing of religions in the Presidential Palace and on recognition and its significance at Ilia State University. And today he kindly agreed to be a guest on our show. Professor Arndt, welcome and thank you for being here. It is an honor for us to have you as a guest. Let me start with the first question. In your paper, which you presented at the Presidential Palace, you speak about civilizing of religions. We know that the term civil religion takes its roots in Jean-Jacques Rousseau's or even Giambattista Vico's treatises. What is, in your opinion, civil religion? What distinguishes it from non-civil, i.e. traditional religion, and how the process of civilizing of religions is to be understood?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak here, and thank you for the question. I would give a definition of civil religion such as it's something like the German Gesinnung. It's very difficult to translate it. It's ethos. That means common basic assumptions about the society, and for a soul this is linked with the concept of volonté générale, and this I think is a link to religion, because every religion has a relation to totality, the totality of the world, of the universe, and here it's the totality of society in volonté générale. And this concept, I think, is very difficult to realize, because in modern societies, on the one hand, we have individualization of life. You cannot say that every individual in the society will have common assumptions about social life. And on the other hand, we have social and political contradictions, and these contradictions also are based on very different views of social lives. So I think a concept of civil religion today must fail. When I spoke about civilization of religions, I don't mean such civil religion. I mean the civilization of religions as a self-civilization. That means every religion must define and found its place within the framework of the right of a given state and society.
In your paper, you argue that in modern societies, religions should civilize themselves by their own and make themselves compatible with a framework of right or law. I mean here the German word Recht. To put it in other words, the process of civilizing of religions has to be carried out not from outside, but rather from within religions itself. My question would be, is it possible for different religions to transform themselves, but at the same time to keep their own identity?
This is a problem, of course, but I think in the first line, identity is an abstract term, especially according to Hegel. It's very abstract because Hegel would say, and this is my position, identity is only a part of a contradiction. You can say you have identity in relation to the non-identical moments of yourself. In other words, you are and we are all as individuals and institutions and so on. We have a structure of contradiction. And for Hegel, contradiction is the presupposition of life. Something is only alive as a contradiction. And I think that means for religions, no religion is identical as such. If you compare the early Christianity, for example, with the institutions today, you will find that's not the same. That's not identical in this sense, as we think that A is A in a logical sense. So every religion, if this religion is alive, must change. And this process of changing in relation to the historical and conditions and the given society, that's this process of civilization. You must every day find a new identity. You must change your identity to in order to be identical. Yes.
It is thought, and you also mention in your paper, that recognition can be regarded as an alternative foundation or, let's say, justification for the state besides the social contract theory. Could you briefly discuss in what this approach consists in? And what is the argumentation of the idea that recognition can serve as a foundation for the state?
The social contract theories all have a problem in the view of the philosophers of classical German philosophy, because they stated that individuals are before society. You have atomic individuals, and after this they have to be they have to come together to make a society, to build a state, social structures and so on. For Hegel, for example, and also for Fichte, they are in the tradition of Aristotle. The human beings are social beings, and they cannot live without society. Zoon politikon. And so the argument is you have not to establish something like social relations between individuals. You have to explain the process of individualization within society. And this is a model for recognition, because it should explain how in a given society individuality can exist. For Fichte, it's the structure of individual freedom, which must be guarded by law, by right. For Hegel, this is the constitution of individuality as part of self-consciousness, and so you can say it's a fundamental or other approach as the theories of social contract.
I would like to ask a question regarding the Fichtean concept of recognition. As we know, Fichte himself did not give a very big significance to the concept of recognition. However, Hegel somehow derives his term Anerkennung, recognition, from Fichte and expands it. What are, in your opinion, the differences and similarities between the Fichtean and Hegelian conceptions?
Yes, as I have pointed out before, the similarities are very great, I think, because both Hegel and Fichte are convinced that human beings are always living in a society, because no constitution of society as such, and therefore for Fichte and for Hegel, recognition have to do with juridical structures. It means being recognized means anerkannt sein. Yeah? That's not the process for Fichte of recognition or the struggle for recognition, or like in Hegel. For Fichte, it's a legitimation of the right after right is constituted. It's a mutual recognition of individuals as persons. That means as persons with individual rights and spheres of freedom. For Hegel, that's the difference. Hegel more emphasizes the process, the struggle for recognition, not the anerkannt sein, being recognized, but the process of recognition as a constitution of something like mutual recognition in the right. But in every case, for Fichte and for Hegel, the telos of this process is the right, and law, and right and law is, you can say, the elevation, Aufhebung of this struggle of recognition.
According to Hegel, as I understand, in the process of development of the Geist, spirit, it comes first cognition, Erkennung, and only then recognition, Anerkennung. Why is cognition a precondition for the Geist to gain a level of recognition?
This question leads us very deep in Hegel's philosophy. First, I would say recognition is recognition of selves or I's, I in plural. That means the precondition for recognition is something like self-relation, self-consciousness, not developed form of self-consciousness, that's the result, but it implies something like self-consciousness. Now, for Fichte, recognition, because he said self-consciousness is a case of immediacy. It's immediate consciousness, not mediated. Therefore, self-consciousness and recognition is the precondition of every kind of consciousness and every kind of cognition. For Hegel, that's not. Hegel is in the tradition of the German Enlightenment, for example, Christian Wolff, and there the theory is other. If I distinguish something other, a person, an individual thing, from myself, I have a relation to myself, and the result of this relation, the reflection of this relation to myself, is, you can say, the birth of the self-consciousness. And therefore, before you have, you can recognize another person, as a self, you have to make an act of cognition. You can say there are three steps. The first, the cognition of the other. The second, the self-cognition in distinguishing the other and the I. And the third step, recognition of the other as a self.
You have also mentioned in your article that according to the contemporary German philosopher Axel Honneth, recognition is the essential principle of modernity. As I understood, that is not the case with Hegel, since he does not give that big significance to recognition, as Honneth does. According to your opinion, why does Honneth consider recognition as a crucial element for modernity? To put it in other words, why is it not possible for modernity to exist without implying in itself recognition?
I think in any case, recognition is an element of modernity, also for Hegel, because we have to distinguish between recognition as a process of recognition or struggle for recognition on the one side, and on the other side, being recognized as a result of this process, and this being recognized means the elevation of the struggle into right, law, and ethical life, Sittlichkeit. So, in this sense, recognition is a moment of modernity also for Hegel. The difference to Honneth is that for Honneth, as I understood him, recognition in the first line is a term of morality. And the struggle for recognition is something, Honneth says, grammar of morality in the modern time. And so, therefore, this is an interesting concept, but it is, I think, far from Hegel.
Professor Arndt, thank you for participating in the Collegium, and thank you for interview.